I'm still at the Mar Ranch open space in the Las Llajas Dam area. If you haven't watched my Las Llajas Dam origin story video, then you really need to go watch that first, because in this video I'm going to talk about a bunch of interesting information that I found while researching the other video that just really didn't fit into the story of the other video. So here's some additional bonus track information all relating to this area. Let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is this article right here. The very first paragraph contains some crucial errors that sent me down some of the deepest rabbit holes. It first equates Marland and something else called Santa Susana Country Club and says that Marland essentially started in 1924. I'm going to prove to you that both of those things are incorrect. Marland and Santa Susana Country Club are two different things, headed by two different people. They started at two different times, both in the Simi Valley area, but they're different. Here is the public notice from 1927 showing Howard Marr purchasing the property that became Marland and Mar Ranch. You can see the property is part of something called Subdivision O. Well, let's figure out where that is. Here is a very old map of the Simi Valley. You can see Subdivision O is up in the northeast corner of Simi Valley, which is where we knew Mar Ranch was. Now here's an article from 1924 about J. Ward Cohen, who's going to start something called the Santa Susana Country Club on land he's going to purchase from the Bouchards. Now we got to figure out where the Bouchard land is. Here's a different old map of Simi Valley, and you can see the Bouchard land is in the southeast part of Simi Valley. These old maps and newspaper articles clearly show that Marland and Santa Susana Country Club are two different things, started by two different people at two different times. Well, we know from my other video what happened to Marland, but what happened to the Santa Susana Country Club? Cohen and Company did start work on it, but it never got finished. My guess from this article in 1925 was there was problems with the title and the purchase of the land. And then a couple months after that article, they changed the name from Santa Susana Country Club to the Biltmore Country Club. And in 1927, the Biltmore Country Club was moved to Pacoima. But the Pacoima version of the country club never happened either. I'm guessing it probably ran into the same problem Marland did, i.e. the Great Depression. And that is the story of the 1920s country clubs of Simi Valley. Here we are back at the Las Llajas Creek. I shot this footage in October of 2024, but I thought some of you might want to see what it looks like when there's more water in it. This following footage I shot in February of 2024. Let's go. Whoops, let me get out of your way here. Most water I've seen coming through here in a long time, or ever actually. So it's going right around. It's supposed to go over this. This next bit might only be interesting to the locals, but the area I'm showing now was at one time, in 1992, going to be a police firing range. But they did a sound check by firing off guns for a while and asked the local homeowners what they thought. To the surprise of no one, the local homeowners hated the idea, so the city council nixed the gun range. So that happened in 1992, but let's go back to the early 1930s. I want to talk about the legal trouble that Howard Marr got into as Marland fell apart. Here's an early sign of legal trouble. Howard Marr got sued by the man he bought the Mar Ranch land from. Apparently, Howard Marr never paid the guy. Here's an article from 1931 about a salesman suing Howard Marr for lack of payment of a commission. What's especially interesting about this article is it talks about how sometimes for down payments people would give goods instead of money. In this case, the good was an expensive Chinese shawl. The salesman then gave the shawl to his buddy, who then gave it to his wife, but when the deal fell through, he never got the shawl back. Oh, the trials and tribulations of a salesman. Here's an article from 1934 talking about Howard Marr and his wife evading process servers. A man by the name of George Johnson sued and won a $2,300 judgment, but the Marrs didn't pay. The judge working on the case issued bench warrants for their arrest. Here's another article from 1934 talking about more Marr shenanigans and Marland going into receivership. Mar apparently pissed off enough people that someone added this to his Find the Grave profile. But somehow I think the Mar family resolved their legal issues because they continued to have a significant presence in Simi Valley all the way to the 60s. And now we're back at the debris basin. If you recall from my other video, the fires of 2003 and the rains of 2004 created this huge debris pile that they had to clear out. The debris removal started in 2005 and continued through 2006 and maybe even into 2007. Not quite sure when it ended. Here's an article from 2005 that describes the process from a first-person point of view. Let me read some of it to you. Forget roosters crowing to herald the dawn. A herd of big rigs do that for Simi Valley resident Mike Garrett, much to his chagrin. The back of Garrett's home faces Yosemite Avenue, where the trucks have taken to lining up at 4 a.m., awaiting entrance to the Las Llajas Dam at 7 a.m. Throughout the day, the trucks load up and haul away silt and debris that built up and clogged the dam in last winter's storm. There's an awful lot of trucks, Garrett said. It's annoying. It's like living next to a quarry right now. The trucks just go continuously. I'm sure they're trying to do a good job. The rest of the article talks about where the trucks line up and they estimate how long it's going to take to finish the whole thing. It was quite a big deal. I'm glad I wasn't living around here at that time. For our next fun fact, I need to get up around this corner and you'll see there's this low spot. Looks kind of dead and dry, but it looks completely different and sounds completely different when it's springtime. Let me show you. During the springtime, this dry area becomes a wet area, and it's inhabited by frogs having a grand old time. Well, let's leave the frogs alone and skip on to the other side of the dam. I have another video from the springtime showing water coming out this side. Well, here's where the water comes out on the other side of the dam. And so the stream here. Really very polluted. Is over there underneath the road. And through a golf course. Let's take a closer look at this. Now the water we just saw was after a couple days of hard rain. I wouldn't want to wade into that, but it doesn't seem terribly threatening. But as you can see from this article from 1962, sometimes the water coming out of the Las Llajas Creek is powerful enough to be threatening. This was back before dams or any flood control, and there was a bridge, one of the main city streets, that got washed away. This family managed to stop their car just in time before driving into the creek. Their front tires were hanging over the edge, and after they got out of the car, the water continued to eat away at the bank, and the car eventually fell in. And because I love going down rabbit holes, I want to try to figure out where this all happened. I searched around online and found the Simi Valley Historical Society's Facebook page, and they had these old photographs from 1959 that showed the bridge. Let me show you. Here we are looking north. Mar Ranch is up there. Las Llajas Creek comes out there, flows down in a zigzag course. It's not contained anywhere. It's just a wash. Gets down to here, and right there is where the bridge is that the car almost lost it. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yep, car almost went into the creek right there. Okay, enough about the bridge. There's just one more thing I want to talk about. If you watched my previous video about Las Llajas Dam, you'll know that squirrels were a concern. Squirrels breached this agricultural reservoir on Mar Ranch and caused a bunch of families to flee the flood. So how did they mitigate the squirrel problem at the Las Llajas Dam? They did it using raptor perches. There's one coming up on the right. A raptor perch is basically just a tall pole with a place for raptors and other birds of prey to sit on. There's a number of these around the dam, and their story is kind of interesting. The perches were installed by a 12-year-old as part of a Boy Scout project. The boy's name was David Coons, and it took 9 months of planning and navigating bureaucracy in order to get the permission to install the raptor perches. After the okay was given, he and 28 other members of Boy Scout Troop 622 helped him install the perches. The completion of this project made David eligible to become one of the youngest Eagle Scouts of Ventura County. Let's take one last look at the squirrel-free dam.